There is an animal in Africa that kills more people than lions, leopards, and crocodiles combined. An animal weighing 900 kilos of pure muscle and fury, curved horns capable of flipping a jeep upside down, unpredictable temperament and memory to hold grudges for years. The African buffalo, also called Black Widow by professional hunters, or simply Black Death. And there is a people who hunt this animal using only bows and arrows. No rifles, no traps, no vehicles, no modern technology whatsoever. They get within 20 meters of a creature that can crush a man in seconds, and they do it barefoot, in absolute silence, with the same technique their ancestors used 50,000 years ago. This is the reality of the Hadzabe tribe. And what you are about to see is not acting. It is not reconstruction for tourists. It is not cultural theater. It is real survival, happening today, at this exact moment, somewhere in the Tanzanian savannah. The Hadzabe live near Lake Eyasi in East Africa, a region of dry and unforgiving savanna, thorny acacia trees that tear the skin, tall grass that hides predators, heat that exceeds 40 degrees at midday, dust that sticks to everything. There is no electricity, there is no running water, there are no paved roads, there are no hospitals, there are no schools, there are no stores. There is absolutely nothing of what you know as the modern world, and they prefer it that way, because the Hadzabe are one of the last genuine hunter-gatherer tribes remaining on the planet. Fewer than 1,300 people in the entire world, living exactly as all of humanity lived before inventing agriculture, before domesticating animals, before building the first permanent villages, before creating the concept of property. They plant nothing, they raise no animals, they store no food for the future. Each day is a new search. Each meal is a conquest that needs to be repeated the following day. And when they need real meat, when the group needs protein that lasts more than a single day, when the women and children need nutrients that only meat can provide, they set out on one of the most dangerous hunts in the world, the hunt for the African buffalo. Pay attention to this number. The African buffalo is responsible for more than 200 human deaths per year on the continent, more than any other large African mammal, more than lions, more than elephants, more than hippos. Professional hunters who guide hunting safaris fear it more than any other animal, and they have good reasons for that. This animal does not forgive mistakes. It does not forget offenses. If you wound it and fail to kill it, it will change its behavior completely. It will hide, it will circle around, it will wait in silence, and it will attack from behind when you least expect it. Wounded buffaloes have already killed dozens of experienced hunters over the years, men armed with large caliber rifles, men trained for decades, killed by an animal they thought was fleeing. This is not legend, it is not exaggeration, it is documented statistics, it is fact recorded in ranger reports. And the Hadzabe face this same animal with pieces of wood and metal, with handmade poisoned arrows, with courage that defies any rational logic, with techniques developed over 50,000 years of trial and error. But wait, there is something fundamental you need to understand first. The Hadzabe do not hunt buffaloes for sport. They do not hunt for fun or entertainment. They do not hunt to prove courage to others. They do not hunt to sell meat or trophies. They hunt because they need to, because they depend on it to survive. An adult buffalo can feed an entire group of 20 to 30 people for a week or more. Red meat is pure protein that the human body absorbs easily. Fat is concentrated energy that sustains through days of scarcity. Blood is drunk fresh for containing valuable nutrients. Bones are broken to extract the nutritious marrow and then become tools. The thick skin becomes protection against rain and nighttime cold. The horns become containers and instruments. The tendons become strings for the bows. The intestines become containers for storing fat. Nothing is wasted. Absolutely nothing. Every gram of the animal has utility. It is survival in the most literal and urgent sense of the word. The preparation for such a hunt begins several days before the event. The most experienced men of the community gather around the fire as the sun begins to set. The orange light illuminates their concentrated faces. They discuss in low voices. They plan every detail. They share information collected in the previous days. Where the buffaloes were last seen, what trails they are using to move around, where they are drinking water in the morning, where they rest during the midday heat, how many animals were observed in the group, whether there are more vulnerable solitary males. The Hadzabe know their territory like you know the rooms of your house. Every tree has a name. Every rock serves as a reference. Every water source is mapped in memory. Every animal trail is known and monitored. This knowledge was accumulated over thousands of uninterrupted generations, transmitted from father to son through words, gestures, and practical demonstrations. There is no written manual. There is no formal school. There is no training video. There is only the living experience of 50 millennia of survival on this same land. And this is where things start to get really interesting. The weapons of the Hadzabe seem primitive to modern eyes, and technically they are, but every detail has been tested, refined and perfected over thousands of years until reaching an efficiency that impresses any specialist. The Hadzabe bow is made from wood of a specific tree from the region, a wood that is flexible enough to bend under extreme tension, but resistant enough not to break, even after thousands of shots. The curvature is calculated to maximize the power of the shot. The size is proportional to the body of the archer. The string is made from tendons of previously hunted animals, extracted carefully so as not to damage the fibers, braided while still wet and malleable, stretched and dried under constant tension to gain resistance. Treated with animal fat to resist air moisture, this string can withstand thousands of shots without breaking. The arrows are true works of primitive engineering that take days to produce. The shaft is made of light wood or bamboo from the region, selected with extreme care. It needs to be perfectly straight. Any minimal curvature affects the accuracy of flight. It is heated over coals and straightened by hand repeatedly. The feathers are from large birds like eagles or vultures, positioned at an exact mathematical angle to create rotation and stability during flight. The tip is made of sharpened metal. This metal is obtained through commercial exchanges with neighboring tribes like the Datoga, who are extremely skilled blacksmiths. The tip is obsessively sharpened until it cuts with the slightest touch. But what really makes the difference between life and death is not the tip itself. It is what covers that tip. Poison. The Hadzabe are absolute masters in the art of preparing arrow poison. Knowledge guarded and transmitted only within the tribe. From father to son, from master to apprentice, they use the sap of a plant called adenium, popularly known as desert rose. A surprisingly beautiful flower with delicate pink petals and absolutely lethal to any mammal. The sap of this plant contains cardiac glycosides, powerful toxins that attack the heart muscle directly. The preparation process is lengthy, meticulous, and dangerous. First, they make cuts in the bark of the plant. They collect the white sap that slowly drips out. They transport it carefully so as not to contaminate anything. They boil this sap for many hours in clay containers over low fire. The liquid gradually reduces, concentrating, darkening, until becoming a dark, thick, and extremely sticky paste. The arrowheads are then dipped into this poisonous paste, left to dry completely in the sun, dipped again, dried again. The process is repeated several times. Each layer adds more potency to the poison. A well-prepared arrow with multiple layers carries enough poison to bring down any animal of the African savanna, including a buffalo of 900 kilos of pure muscle. The actual hunt begins before dawn. The sky is still completely dark. The stars still shine intensely over the savanna. The air is still cold and humid from the night dew. This is the best possible time to hunt. The animals are moving toward water sources. Human senses work better in the coolness of early morning, and there is much less chance of being detected by the keen sense of smell of prey. The group of hunters sets out in absolute silence. Usually it is only 3 or 4 men, never more than 5. The more people, the more involuntary noise. The more noise, the lower the chance of success. Each man knows exactly his role. The lead tracker goes in front reading the signs. The archers go just behind ready for the shot. A lookout stays further back watching for possible dangers. They walk barefoot on the African earth. Feet calloused by decades of savanna make practically no noise. The hardened soul does not feel the small stones or thorns. Each step is calculated to the millimeter before being taken. Every dry branch on the ground is carefully avoided. Every leaf that could make noise is walked around. Communication between them is done only through subtle gestures. An almost imperceptible hand movement means stop immediately. A glance in a certain direction indicates the presence of something. A slight tilt of the head suggests the path to follow. Words are absolutely forbidden throughout the entire approach. The African buffalo has excellent and well-developed hearing. It can detect suspicious sounds from hundreds of meters away. A single careless whisper can end entire hours of patient tracking, or much worse. It can provoke a defensive charge from the animal, and you definitely do not want to be in the path of a charging African buffalo. 900 kilos of muscle and bone running at 55 kilometers per hour directly in your direction. Curved and pointed horns aimed forward like spears, eyes injected with fury and determination, hooves that make the earth tremble without hesitation, without mercy, without possibility of negotiation. Now comes the most dangerous and tense part of the entire hunt, the final approach. The Hadzabe need to get within 30 meters of the buffalo for a minimally effective shot, preferably 20 meters or less, to ensure the arrow penetrates deep enough, to ensure the poison enters the bloodstream quickly. At that absurdly close distance, you can see every hair on the dark muzzle of the buffalo. You can hear its heavy breathing as it grazes. You can smell the strong, musky scent of the animal. You can see the muscles moving under the thick skin, and it can also see you, if by chance it looks in the right direction at the wrong moment. The African buffalo has reasonable vision for a bovid. It is not excellent like that of a predator, but it is more than enough to detect nearby movement. What it really compensates with is extraordinarily developed hearing and smell. A buffalo can smell the presence of a human being from more than 400 meters away, depending on wind conditions. If the wind is blowing from the hunter toward the animal, the hunt is over before it began. That is why Hadzabe hunters monitor the wind obsessively throughout the entire approach. They wet their index finger with saliva and raise it in the air. They carefully observe the direction in which the lightest leaves move. They feel the subtlest breeze on exposed skin. Any change in wind direction, and the approach stops completely. Everyone freezes where they are. They recalculate the situation. They reposition the entire group. Sometimes they need to make a detour of several kilometers just to position themselves against the wind again. All of this to ensure that the human scent does not reach the sensitive nostrils of the buffalo. The approach can take several hours of constant tension. The hunters crawl through the low vegetation of the savanna. They use every bush as cover, every fallen trunk as a hiding place. They advance centimeter by centimeter with superhuman patience. They freeze completely when the buffalo raises its head to look around. They advance again only when it returns to grazing unconcerned. It is a game of extreme patience that can last the entire day, of absolute control over every muscle of the body, of nerves of steel that cannot fail, because at any moment, without any warning, everything can go terribly wrong. The buffalo might detect something suspicious. It might decide to move to another location. It might simply look in the wrong direction at the most critical moment, and then the hunt ends in failure. Or much worse, the hunt transforms into a desperate flight for survival. Finally, after endless hours, the lead hunter is in ideal position, 20 meters away, maybe even less. So absurdly close it seems like complete madness. The buffalo is right there ahead, enormous, massive, imposing, grazing peacefully without the slightest idea that death is aiming at its back. The lead archer kneels on the ground with calculated slowness. Every minimal movement is thought out to produce no sound. He slowly raises the bow to firing position. He fits the poisoned arrow to the string. He pulls the string to the maximum limit his muscles allow. The tension in the wood of the bow is brutal. The muscles of the arm and back visibly tremble with the sustained effort. The heart races in the chest. Adrenaline explodes in waves through the body. The mouth goes dry. The hands want to tremble but cannot. The target is small and very specific, an area just behind the front leg of the animal, where the thick skin is slightly thinner, where the main veins pass closer to the surface, where the poison will enter the bloodstream most quickly and begin to act. He takes one last deep breath to stabilize himself. He aims with all possible concentration. He releases the string. The sound of the shot is almost imperceptible in the savanna air. A dry and brief snap. The arrow cuts through the air in a fraction of a second. It penetrates the thick skin of the buffalo with a dull impact. The animal moves immediately. Surprised, irritated, confused. It looks around frantically, trying to identify what happened. What happens next depends on many unpredictable factors. If the buffalo manages to locate the hunters by sound or movement, it attacks. Instantly, without thinking twice, without giving time to react. A mass of 900 kilos coming in their direction at full possible speed. In that terrible scenario, the only option is to run. To scatter in different directions, to confuse, to try to reach a tree that can be climbed quickly, to pray that the animal chooses to chase someone else, to pray to survive one more day. If the buffalo fails to locate the hunters, it flees in the opposite direction. It takes off through the savanna at high speed. It begins running desperately, trying to escape the invisible danger. And that is exactly where the longest and most exhausting phase of the entire hunt begins: the tracking. The arrow poison does not kill any large animal instantly. It needs time to circulate through the body and take effect. The wounded buffalo can continue running for many kilometers, for many hours straight, sometimes for an entire day before finally falling. It depends on several factors. Where exactly the arrow hit, how deeply it managed to penetrate the flesh, how much poison actually entered the bloodstream. The Hadzabe follow the trail of the wounded animal, patiently, tirelessly, relentlessly, hour after hour without real rest. Reading every sign left on the ground with the expertise of decades. Deep footprints far apart from each other mean the animal is still running strong. More irregular and closer footprints mean it is beginning to lose balance. Drops of blood on leaves and grass indicate the exact direction it went. Broken branches at the height of the animal show where it passed. Marks from where it stopped briefly to rest reveal its condition. They follow that trail hour after hour under the merciless sun of 40 degrees or more, without shade for protection, without real rest beyond brief pauses, without complaining about anything, without ever thinking of giving up, because losing the trail means losing the buffalo. Losing the buffalo means losing an entire week of food. Losing that food means real hunger for the entire group. The poison acts gradually but inexorably in the body of the animal. First, the buffalo begins to visibly slow down. The desperate gallop transforms into a trot. The trot transforms into a heavy walk. The walk transforms into an unstable stagger. The wounded animal desperately seeks water. Ancestral instinct says it needs to drink. That water can somehow help, but there is not enough water in all of Africa to neutralize the poison now running through its veins. Little by little, the powerful legs begin to weaken. Breathing becomes increasingly heavy and difficult. The once alert eyes begin to lose focus and clarity. The entire body begins to tremble involuntarily. Finally, the buffalo stops walking. It stands in the same place, swaying from side to side, fighting with the last strength to stay standing, and then the legs give way, and it falls. The impact of 900 kilos of animal hitting the savanna ground is something you feel through the earth before you hear it, a deep and profound sound that resonates across the landscape. A final and definitive sound. The Hadzabe approach the carcass with extreme care and respect. Even apparently dead, a buffalo can still be mortally dangerous. One last spasm of life can result in a violent horn movement. One last instinctive attempt at defense can kill a careless man. They wait at a safe distance. They carefully observe any sign of life. They throw stones and sticks to test for reaction. Only when they are absolutely certain the animal is completely dead do they finally approach for real. And then the celebration explodes. Cries of genuine joy resound across the silent savanna. Ancestral songs that have existed for thousands of years fill the air. The hunters dance around the hard-won prey. The joy is visceral and contagious because everyone knows exactly what that buffalo means. It means abundant food. It means guaranteed life. It means assured survival for the entire group for many days. A messenger is immediately sent running back to the camp. The news needs to arrive as quickly as possible because now begins an urgent race against relentless time. The meat needs to be processed before the intense heat accelerates decomposition, before the smell attracts dangerous predators from the entire region. Hungry hyenas, opportunistic lions, flocks of vultures. Everyone wants their share of the carcass. Everyone represents real danger to the Hadzabe. The entire camp mobilizes as soon as the news arrives. Men, women, children, elders, everyone who can walk prepares. They take stone and metal knives. They take containers to transport meat. Everyone walks together to where the buffalo fell. Sometimes it is many kilometers away. It does not matter. Everyone goes without exception because everyone will participate in the work. Everyone will help with the processing. Everyone will eat together. And here is something absolutely fundamental to understanding the Hadzabe. They have no social hierarchy. They have no permanent chiefs or leaders. They have no private property in the sense we know. They have no accumulation of wealth. When a buffalo is finally brought down, the meat belongs equally to everyone. The skilled hunter who fired the fatal arrow does not receive a larger portion than the others. The men who tracked for hours do not eat before the rest. The elders who stayed resting at camp receive exactly the same amount. The small children who did not even participate receive their full share. Everyone absolutely equal. It has always been this way among them. For 50,000 years, it has worked exactly this way. The complete processing of a buffalo is extremely intense work that can last days. We are talking about 900 kilos of animal to process, hundreds of kilos of meat to cut and prepare, dozens of kilos of valuable fat to extract and store, heavy bones to break and utilize, thick skin to treat and keep, massive internal organs to separate. Absolutely everything is used without exception. The red meat is cut into long, thin strips. One part is consumed immediately right there, quickly roasted over the improvised fire next to the carcass. After many hours or even days of tense hunting, the exhausted hunters can finally eat. And they eat a lot. It is completely deserved and expected. Another larger part of the meat is carefully prepared for prolonged conservation, hung on improvised structures over low and constant fire. The hot smoke envelops the meat for hours. It slowly dries. It preserves for weeks. It kills bacteria that would cause deterioration. That smoked meat is the precious reserve that will feed the entire group in the following days and weeks. The fat from the buffalo is carefully extracted and melted over the fire. Then it is stored in containers made from parts of the animal itself. That fat serves as a concentrated reserve of energy for difficult periods. It serves for cooking other foods. It serves to protect human skin from the brutal sun. The large bones are broken to extract the nutritious marrow from inside. Then the fragments are kept to become various tools. Awls for leather, scrapers for hides, tips for new arrows. The smaller bones eventually become personal ornaments, necklaces, bracelets, hair adornments. The thick skin is carefully separated and treated. It can become efficient protection against rain during the wet season. It can become covering against the cold of nights. It can become valuable material for exchange with other tribes. The resistant tendons are extracted whole and stretched to dry. After drying, they become the strings that will equip the next hunting bows. Absolutely nothing of the animal is thrown away or wasted. Every minimal part has some practical utility. Every gram of nutrient is valued and utilized. In the weeks following a successful hunt, the Hadzabe camp is visibly transformed. The constant silent tension of hunger simply disappears. The children play with much more energy and joy. The adults work lighter and laugh more frequently. The nights around the communal fire become longer and livelier, more filled with conversations and laughter, more filled with ancient songs and traditional dances. It is the blessed period of abundance and celebration, of reconnection with the simple joy of being alive and fed. But the complete reality of the Hadzabe is not made only of celebration and abundance. There is a cost, a high price that is rarely mentioned. Hunting African buffaloes is genuinely dangerous, truly dangerous. Throughout the countless past generations, many Hadzabe men have died in these hunts, brutally gored during unexpected charges, trampled by heavy hooves, crushed against trees and rocks. Every man who participates in such a hunt consciously knows he may not return alive. His wife knows that when he leaves. His small children know that. His elderly parents know that. When the group of hunters leaves silently before dawn, no one says goodbye lightly or casually. The embrace is tighter than normal. The gaze lasts longer than necessary, because everyone knows it may be the last embrace, the last look, the last time they see each other. That ever-present awareness of possible death gives the Hadzabe a completely different relationship with life, a relationship that we lost long ago. They do not accumulate material goods. They do not make plans for decades into the future. They do not worry about retirement or inheritance. They live the present moment with total intensity. They genuinely celebrate every meal as if it were special. They celebrate every sunrise as a gift. They celebrate every safe return from a hunt as a miracle. For them, simply being alive today is already more than sufficient reason for deep gratitude. The modern world looks at the Hadzabe with a mixture of fascination and total incomprehension. How can they choose to live this way in the 21st century? How can they voluntarily reject agriculture that would produce more food? How can they reject technology that would make life so much easier? How can they give up the comfort that we all consider essential? But perhaps that question is completely wrong. Perhaps we should ask what it is they still have that we have already lost. The Hadzabe do not know obesity or its associated diseases. They do not know depression as a generalized epidemic. They do not know the deep loneliness of big cities. They do not know the chronic anxiety of the modern world. They live in real and functional community every day, where every person knows all the others by name, where everyone genuinely depends on each other to survive, where the success of any individual is automatically the success of everyone. When a Hadzabe eats a piece of buffalo meat, they know exactly where that food came from. They know how much human effort it cost to obtain. They know what real risks were faced in the process. They know who risked their life so that everyone could eat. Every bite has deep meaning. Every meal is a small celebration of life. We completely lost that somewhere along the way. In our industrialized food, packaged in plastic and identified by barcodes, we forgot that surviving was once an uncertain daily conquest, that getting to eat was once an act that required real courage, that every meal was once a small victory against ever-present death. The Hadzabe remind us of those ancient truths, not through words or formal lessons, but simply by continuing to exist the way they have always existed, simply by refusing to disappear or change. The sun sets once more over the calm waters of Lake Eyasi. The same magnificent colors as always paint the African sky: intense orange, deep red, brilliant gold. Somewhere in this ancestral landscape, a group of Hadzabe gathers around the crackling fire. The children sit listening, fascinated, to the same songs their ancestors heard 50,000 years ago. The young ones observe and learn the same survival techniques they will use for the rest of their lives. The adults share the same eternal concerns about food and family. The elders patiently transmit the same accumulated wisdom they received when young. The cycle continues uninterrupted. As long as that cycle continues, as long as there are Hadzabe hunting buffaloes in the African savanna, an essential and ancient part of humanity will remain alive, not artificially preserved in dusty museums, not recorded only in books that few read, not frozen in documentaries that will soon be forgotten, but genuinely alive, breathing the air of the savanna, walking barefoot on the ancestral land, hunting to survive one more day. Tomorrow the sun will rise again over Lake Eyasi. The heat will return to punish the dry earth. The savanna will awaken with the same sounds as always, and somewhere in that immutable landscape, a small group of men will set out silently before dawn, barefoot on the African earth, in absolute and respectful silence, with bows in their calloused hands and unbreakable courage in their hearts. Exactly as it has always been since the beginning of time, exactly as perhaps it should always continue to be.